to the track, the wall, makes the leap, and makes the catch! Amazing catch by Junior! He got it! A perfect game! 13 strikeouts. And Bonds hits right high! It's a game! It is out of here! 7:56! What a special moment for Barry Bonds. Swinging a long drive, deep to right, going, goodbye. He has done it. He has changed the game of the night with one swing of his bat.
And welcome to another episode of Champions Adjust podcast, brought to you by Champions Adjust, which is
It's just a business.
It's a
Coach
business.
Bodzin. It's a business.
It's an LLC providing mental performance services and a incredible, your favorite podcast, covering everything from short hops to bat flips and everything else in between.
Yeah, a lot of youth sports.
At one point, we were hoping to get that sponsored by Bud Light. Did not happen that way, so we're just sponsoring ourselves, and it's great.
We're sponsoring ourselves.
Good to see you. It's been a week. We had to take a week off because, life does indeed get busy, and we tried last week, and then something happened, and we just didn't. Oh, you had your championship.
Oh, yeah.
Was that last week?
That was a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
but I'm glad you brought that up because I have something I want to talk about from there. But
Of course.
pretty good job on the intro.
Thanks, man.
Episode 45. You've done now episode 44 and 45 intros.
Then how are our numbers for episode
Pretty
44?
good. Episode 44, didn't look at the numbers.
Okay.
Haven't looked.
I'm probably pretty good if I did the intro.
But I imagine pretty good. People love a good David Bodzin intro.
That's
what
fair.
they say. That's what they say.
Who says that?
They.
My wife.
Your
That's
wife
the only
does say
person
that?
I can think that could say that.
She does enjoy you, your voice, and your company.
Sure. Thank God.
Mark will say that when he can speak.
Yeah, he's starting to speak.
But when he gets to age 13, he won't say that anymore because
Oh,
he probably won't
gosh.
like you.
Yeah, no.
But he'll definitely like me, so I'll have to flip to do the intro.
Fair enough.
But that's-
13 years, and then you could do the you could
No,
do the
that's
intro
12
again.
years from now. Your son's
12 years.
born.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, 12 years and 12 years. That's what happened is we had our birthday party Saturday, and as such, my schedule was pretty full, being a good husband and a good father.
Priority number one.
Once a month, I try to be a good husband and good father.
But yeah, so let's start the episode off with some good news.
Uh-huh.
Let him hear it, Coach Bodzin. What are we up to? What
Coach-
changes have we made?
Yeah, Coach Aaron and I are the new co-coaches of the Dallas Patriots 15U national team.
Woo!
What does that mean? It means Dallas Patriots, which are a very respected organization regionally in the Dallas, Texas area, have brought us on to run their national team, which means that we will be potentially recruiting you or your son to come on the road with us to Hoover and to Florida and to Georgia to play in these big national tournaments and help kids get recruited. And their next step is helping these kids get to the next level of college baseball.
Yeah, man. It was a pretty interesting process.
It was.
Yeah, because my journey as a coach has always been sort of with you.
Sure.
Maybe a little bit in the shadows behind you.
Right.
Last year was my full time as a head coach, but we were sort of in a whole sort of group dynamic,
Yes.
which was cool.
And it was interesting because the Dallas Patriots for 2 years have been, kind of far and away saying, hey, come coach with us.
Yeah.
Come coach with us. And, right around then we were going to the Wolfpack.
Right.
And then,
Which was awesome.
yeah, and that was an incredible experience. And then we, were kind of taken into the umbrella of the next organization that we were with, 5-Star. And that was a little bit different. I think that neither one of us really anticipated being there. And we really liked doing the Wolfpack baseball organization aspect of it until we were with 5-Star. And then with the season I had, truthfully, it was a very tough season for me. We've talked about it probably enough. I don't really need to talk much more about that, but that's when I finally reached back out to the founder and CEO of the Patriots and said, hey, open to a conversation. And then, of course, my first conversation is I have a coach that he and I are attached to the hip, and we coach everything together. So if I'm going to do this, then he has to do it with me. And they said, okay, that sounds great. And then that's when the conversations began. And then I think the best way to put it is that our 2 or 3 page coaches contract turned into like a 12, 13 page coaches contract because you and I have Champions Adjust in which we do the podcast. You run the mental performance aspect. I am nationally certified under Tom House Sports. So we have a lot of information that is proprietary towards ourselves that we can't just sell to someone else. And so some of the language in those contracts read that, we can do this, this, and this, but once we leave everything that we've taught. So we had to make sure that all of our information was protected. So it was probably a 3-week contract negotiation one way or another to make sure. But one of the best parts of it that we are really excited about it, and it was actually one of the bigger decision-making processes, is that we are going to be allowed to run camps through the Dallas Patriots. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think the coolest part about the process was them sort of understanding your strengths and what you offer.
Sure.
And my strengths and what I offer, and how we can combine those together to sort of create the best sort of platform to try and teach kids what we've been trying to teach kids for a while.
Right.
What we did with Wolfpack, and we try to do with 5-Star, and all these things that have happened.
Well there.
But they seem to be very interested.
Yes.
In trying to have us talk about those things.
Yes.
And so able to run camps, which give us the leverage to expand our horizons, basically. Correct. Is the idea.
And expand our knowledge base to the youth community, which is a huge reason why you've worked as hard as you have on your certifications, and why I've worked as hard as I have on my what we'll call like a master's degree in biomechanics from a pitching perspective. I don't want to disrespect anybody who actually has a master's degree in biomechanics, but that's what the Tom House certification does, is allows me to speak to that. And we do that for the kids.
Yeah.
Oh, that you got out.
Nice.
That was fun to watch.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being able to do that at a really nice facility with some marketing background and some advertising, so that basically the only goal Coach Bodzin and I have is to reach the greatest amount of kids, to provide the greatest amount of value.
Yes.
That doesn't mean seeing as many kids as possible at one time. No, we have a cap for our things because we can only do so many things at so many times. But being able to do those more than once or twice or
From
3
a
times a year,
perspective, yes.
We want to add value. It's not just quantity; it's definitely more quality. So being able to have a space to do that, and being able to have the leeway to do that, as well as coach a team that we have full control over, and be able to recruit and make decisions, and utilize all the things we've learned over the last 3 years of coaching baseball. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It seems pretty cool. I'm excited about it. I'm excited anytime that we get to coach together, or we get to have a joint venture together, because we've been talking about this sort of thing for like a year, year and a half now.
Year and a half, 2 years, yes.
About how can we expand each of our things.
When we first started Wolfpack, we started to think about it because, hey, we're in this organization where we actually have a say-so. And so then you were doing the mindset stuff, and I was really the pitching guy for both teams. And, and then I feel like we both kind of took a step back and didn't make a lot of progress during the spring of 2023 season, because
it was very hard.
We got put in a situation where it really did not benefit anybody for us putting time into that, because we had other things we needed to worry about.
Right. We had full teams to take care of.
We did. And it's tough when I say this. It makes things a lot easier when you have the full support of the organizations you're with. Right? And is it doable without that support? Sure, but it takes longer to do.
Right.
But when you have the support of an organization that is already established, throwing your support behind you, saying, hey, whatever you need to do, whatever help you need to do this, we have you covered. That's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not to talk negatively on who we were with.
On anyone or anything.
No. But that was more of a, perhaps the value was not appreciated as much as it is here. And you've seen firsthand, like I got the certification and they're excited that I'm there.
Yeah.
And, we've talked about it, that they will be very excited about you once they see firsthand what you provide.
Right. I have to be able to work with their kids, which is not an issue. It'll start happening.
So if you're listening to this and you have interest in whether it be a camp or bringing us in, virtually or in person to
your team, your organization.
I run pitchers, and I can run camps to really teach biomechanically, the best way for your pitchers to stay healthy during the year, we see a lot of people out there who are, hey, we want you to throw harder, so we're going to help you throw harder. That's fine, but we can actually point to one specific person that everybody knows about now, which is shohei Ohtani,
Right.
who just tore his UCL for the second time in 5 years. Is getting his second Tommy John surgery probably after the season. And his mechanics have allowed him to throw the ball 3 or 4 miles per hour harder, but now he's hurt. And so then that's really what I look at, folks at home, is, and my friend Travis, who listens to our podcast, is also MPA certified, is, it's all about performance second, health first, right? So if you're listening and you have interest in what I have to offer, feel free to reach out. But also, as far as what Aaron does, which you can do in much larger groups than I can, to still be effective, is a mental performance specific aspect, right? And
yeah, trying to hone in on your mental skills, especially coming back from injury. How do you come back from injury? That's very important. How do you maintain that sense of intensity while you're on the bench? As a player, how do you remain calm under pressure? How do you recover from mistakes? How do you bounce back after a bad game? How do you understand what's happening when your coach is yelling at you and not let that take you on the field? How do you let no one take you out of your game? How do you feel confident even though you just went 0 for 4 in the previous game? All of these things are learned mental skills through habits and practices and worksheets and conversations. And they can be done one-on-one. They can be done with whole teams. They can be done with 50 plus players. Right? It doesn't really matter. I'm speaking directly to you. There just happens to be more people around. And now, no matter what you do, whether Coach Bodzin's telling you to do this or I'm telling you to do this, if you don't implement the information into your game, it's never going to work. It doesn't fucking matter. You can think about best practices all the time. You can consume the best information. You can listen to the best podcasts. You can watch Barry Bond's videos on YouTube all day. But if you don't actually go and try that with your own body, with your own mind, then you're never going to see any improvement.
All for nothing.
Now, it might not work for you, but you don't know if it doesn't work for you unless you give it a real effort.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to try this for 3 weeks. And that's harder with baseball because a lot of times nowadays there's not 3 weeks off.
Sure.
So you're going to have to take some time where you're just trying to figure things out, and you let your coach know, or you let this know, or you do actually take some time off. Like, I'm trying to figure my swing out. Or pitching out, if you're trying to do a swing or you want to move to a leg kick or a different load, or you're trying to get your hands in a different spot, you have to understand that struggles are going to come with that. So how can you implement what Coach Bodzin is telling you while feeling uncomfortable and potentially struggling for a game or two because you're trying to get it down, understanding that struggle is coming with immense progress.
Yes.
So understanding the full totality of that sort of circle, that's why the combination is good, because Coach Bodzin is giving you the actual technical information, where to put your feet, how to move your arm, why your elbow hurts, how can you recover from this, what do I do post-game, pre-game, how do I get myself ready to pitch, if I'm a reliever, I only have 2 days, all of these sorts of things. Now, how do you think about those things differently so you can actually implement them into your game and see that you might struggle at the beginning but make improvement going forward? Then I work with you, right? That's why it's a 2-pronged approach with the camps when we come to your team.
Right.
And all that stuff is uber important because once we start building, which we are starting to build, this national level team, and we got on these national level circuits, like, the talent level is virtually the same.
Sure.
Like, we went to a 14U tournament, national level tournament at Hoover, right?
Right.
The talent on the teams is mostly the same.
Similar.
It's very similar.
Similar.
What's the difference? The difference is the IQ that kids have, like where to go with the baseball when, before the even play happens, how they recover after a bad swing, a bad pitch, or a bad inning,
right?
How they carry the momentum, and how they stomp on the team when they're up or don't get defeated when they're down.
Right.
That's all a mentality, culture thing. It's not a talent thing. Yes, there's some kids who are just a little bit better because they throw the ball a little bit harder or they hit the ball a little bit harder right now.
Yes.
But that all goes away. Yes, you always have your outliers. I'm not denying the outliers. The Bryce Harpers, the Mike Trouts, all those guys,
those are outliers for a reason.
We're not talking about those guys.
No.
We're talking about the majority of the really good baseball players who are all going to go to Division I schools, or the really good players that people just sort of didn't look at, and they're going to like a JUCO or a community college or a D2 that's won every national championship every single year, right? Those studs, they're all virtually the same. What makes them successful when they get to those higher level places is these things right here. The ability to adapt, the ability to adjust pitch by pitch. Okay. Why does Clayton Kershaw not walk so many guys? Because he understands when he throws 2 balls in a row that something's happening.
Yes.
He's landing differently, or his arm dropped a little bit. He knows that because he's talked to his pitching coach. He's understood his body a little bit more, right? Why does Miguel Cabrera have so many fucking hits? Because he's able to adjust every single at bat.
Right.
Pitch by pitch, pitch by pitch. He doesn't take the same bad swing 2 times in a row.
Correct.
That's what these players are doing. Now, there might be a little exaggeration. Of course, he's taken 3 bad swings in a row, but you get my point.
Sure.
And so that's what we're trying to do. Specifically right now in the DFW area, working with as many teams as we possibly can, because we have that privilege. Also being very heavily endorsed by the Dallas Patriots, which is freaking awesome.
Yes.
And trying to build out the coolest team we can.
Yes.
With the coolest players and the coolest parents and people who just want to play baseball and try and get better.
Travel the country and go up against the best competition.
You know, and play against really hard teams who might whip us, but we might whip some teams too. Baseball is just a random game. Sometimes a dude just has it.
Yep.
Bro, and he's just absolutely lights out.
Run into an arm.
You run into a really good arm, and cool. Our guy could do the same. We had this. We had a pitcher happen in Hoover when our pitcher threw gave up 1 earned run, and the other kid on the other team.
Unearned run.
Yeah, 1 earned run. The other team on the other team gave up like 1 hit, 0 runs.
Yeah.
Great game.
Yeah. 4 hits, 1 unearned run, 0 walks. 2 hits, no runs, no walks.
A lot of those things happen. Those are good baseball
okay.
games. You want to be in those games.
Yeah.
Because then when you get to it in the state tournament of your high school game, you're like, oh, I've been here before. Okay, how can we manufacture a run? How can we just squeeze something across because we know this dude is throwing?
Right.
We know he has the game. You just see it in his body. He's like,
Yep.
oh, I got this shit. And so that's the cool stuff about all this stuff. And that was really cool about going to Hoover too, just watching people ball out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see that even more next summer when we have our team.
Yep.
And in 16 and 17 and all of these kids. And
It'll
then
be a lot of fun.
hopefully seeing them play in college and seeing them play at a high level of their high school varsity games.
That'd be a lot of fun.
I mean, that's the coolest thing, man. You know, I think about myself back then. It's like, you know, how exciting it was and how cool it was. And like, I never played on a national team.
Right.
Okay. You know,
But it didn't really exist a lot.
I don't remember.
When I was kids. No, I don't think
There was the Dallas Patriots around because I played with them for 1 season. There was the Tigers around. I played with them for one
played
season.
for the Mustangs.
But I don't remember what like
back then there was
Yeah.
one team at each age group. Like, hey, did you make the team or did you not? But there wasn't a national team.
Yeah, because there's just wasn't many tournaments like baseball. Yeah, so just like it's cool. It's cool. Like there's a lot more chances to get yourself seen.
Right.
You know, even if you play at a small high school where very few people come to the games, if you got it, man, you got to go out and try to get yourself seen.
Yes.
You know, whether it's social media, which may not be the best thing, but it is a thing which you can utilize, right? Get yourself on a team or, you know, whatever it is. So there's a lot of options. So if you want to play, man.
Yep.
Everyone says, how many 7th and 8th graders do we talk to that say, oh, I want to go play at an SEC school?
All the time.
Do you know what that takes?
Most of them don't. I told somebody recently, where do you want to play? No, SEC. Well, you got a long way to go.
Like, there's a path to it.
Sure. And this one specific kid is one of the hardest working kids I've ever been around. And so, yeah, like he has a path. It's just,
But
you know, there's kids who are already committed at that age. Now, I have a whole different issue with that.
Right.
But they are. And it's all about projectability. And those schools tend to over-recruit just to fill up the pipeline. And most of the kids they sign at 14 years old are not going to be going there.
Right.
Because they're either they you know, 2 things can happen. If I'm a college recruiter and I sign a kid at 14 years old, 2 things can happen. 1, they're not going to pan out the way I think they are, and I'm going to pull my scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2, they're going to pan out exactly like I think they are, and they're going to go to the draft. And then there's that in between, which is the least likely, is that they're actually going to go to the school that I recruited them to go to.
At 14.
Because they can also change their mind in 3 years. You know, their girlfriend goes to a different school, or you know, their best friend goes somewhere, or you know, my recruiting needs change, and that kid's not coming.
Yeah. You got to think about it though at a serious level.
Yeah.
Like think about how good you have to be. So I'll put it in context for you. For me personally, this is my story. I think I hit 450 my senior year.
Why not 500?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I think I led the state in home runs and RBIs.
Cool. Why
I was
not
like
the country?
Second in average.
Cool. Why not? Why did you lead the country in home runs?
That's probably why I didn't get anywhere.
Cool.
And I got recruited by one Division I school called South Dakota State University.
Sure.
What are you
not even North Dakota State.
Not even North Dakota State. Are you gonna do better than that?
Yeah.
To go to a better school?
I mean, probably not.
So
450, lead the state in home runs. That's pretty damn good, you know?
It was all right.
Yeah, it was okay.
I think Josh Bell was like a junior or something then, and he was like pretty close.
Yeah, but he wasn't quite you.
Yeah, way better.
You were better than that.
Yeah, and then there was a freshman on my team named Billy McKinney who plays with the freaking New York Yankees.
Yeah, as a 3 or 4 hole some of the time.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, get realistic about where you want to be. Like, it's okay to have good dreams and goals and aspirations, but then think about where you are right now and where you need to be to potentially even come close to playing at that level.
And understand your circumstances that are involved, right? You had one of the best seasons you could potentially have as a human being, and you went to a low major Division I out of it, right? Because the circumstances were...
I was late.
You peaked late. Everybody had already committed their guys. You went to a place where they had room for you. Could you have transferred out? Sure. Did you? No. And good for you. That's not really, back then, you didn't necessarily transfer out a lot, especially in baseball. There was a big market. Now there's a huge market for it. And now, if that happened to you this year, you'd probably be at a different school within a year.
Yeah. My coach quit after my freshman year. So I had the option to transfer. Yes, because of me.
Sure.
So I had the option to transfer to any school with no penalty.
Right.
And I decided not to.
Did you have who's talking to you?
I didn't even think about trying to do it.
Good for you.
Because it was the very beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
And I was playing in Wichita. And I probably could have went to like a junior college around here. Then by my junior year, been
at like a big D1 in Texas.
But I just had such a good time.
Right. Plus, Blake Trinan was there, and
Blake Trinan was there, and I got to play, and I was going to be another. He had like really cool 4-year starter.
He had like really cool pillows that you could like lay on.
Yeah, he was a nice guy.
Yeah,
he's a nice guy. He's a World Series champion.
He's a World Series champion,
legit. And it was like third in Cy Young voting as a reliever for the Oakland A's.
Right. A lot of conspiracy theorists are really good athletes.
But he can throw a baseball. Yeah. But anyways, my point in bringing all that up is that you got to be, you got to work your tail off.
Yes.
like you're not going to get anywhere unless you're in the weight room, working on your speed, your agility, your fundamentals, your basics, hitting, fielding, running, IQ of the game, mental aspect, recovery, health, relationships. Like all of these things matter deeply. And It's a full-time job to make it your full-time job.
Yes.
That is the fact
of the matter.
You have to do it.
You have to do it.
So if you say you want to play at some school where the best players in the country go, you have to be doing the things that the best players in the country are doing.
I had a conversation with a pitcher recently who he'd gotten hurt late in the summer. And so I worked with him on his mechanics, figured out exactly what he was doing wrong, and I fixed it. And I said, you need to start doing this a lot in your mirror because you need to make this a habit again. These mechanics that we've been working on since January, you got away from, now you have to get back into it. Well, he's also the starting quarterback of his football team for freshman year, the A team. He's a good athlete. He's just a great athlete. And so next time I did a pitching lesson with him, I asked him, I was like, hey, when's the last time you did mechanics in the mirror? He goes, oh, it's been a while. I looked at him and I said, hey, let me ask you this. You got hurt. We figured out why. I gave you the new mechanics to ensure you don't get hurt again. Why are you not doing this every single day in the mirror to make sure that you don't do this again? Well, I don't know. Football is making me busy. Cool. What do you want to play in college? Baseball. Where do you want to play? LSU. Okay. Then I understand that you're busy with football, but 15, 20, 25 minutes a day, you have to focus on baseball. Have to. Every single day. During the off season, when you're focused on football, 15 minutes a day, you got to do mechanics in the mirror and then maybe throw 3 times a week.
Right.
That's going to keep you where you need to be. Understanding that you're a multi-sport athlete, that is great. Your neuroplasticity is increasing. You're a great athlete. You can't just say, F it, I'm too busy for baseball right now.
Right.
Doesn't exist. Not once youth baseball is done. You're in high school now, it's a business. You're making a business decision to say, F it, I don't need to do this right now. Okay. Somebody else in America who also wants to go to LSU
in the same exact position
is also the starting quarterback, and they're working their ass off every day in baseball too.
They make time for it.
And that person's going to get a scholarship before you.
Yep. All right, I got one more thing I want to talk to you
about. Okay, let's hear it. And before you do, for predecessor, Aaron, right before we started to film, said, I have something I want to talk to you about. And I said, okay, what is it? He goes, well, I'll tell you when we get there. And I said, oh. So now I'm very excited to hear it. This is it, yeah.
It's from my men's league game.
Oh, cool.
So we played in the men's league championship not 2 weeks ago, whatever. We won.
Like a champion.
But we played against this team.
Okay.
And generally a very good team in the regular season. I think they lost like maybe 2 or 3 games.
Okay.
And we played them a couple weeks before, and I noticed a couple of their guys, when they started losing, were throwing their helmets and bats.
Sure.
Grown men.
Yep.
So we get into the championship game. They got their best guy on the bump.
Okay.
We go up 3-0 in the first inning.
Through his glove.
The reaction of these men was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen.
What'd they do?
You could see they started the game, ready to go, pumped, in it, chest up, shoulders up, boom, boom, boom. 3 runs in a men's league baseball game. 3 runs, they're defeated. They look like 11-year-old boys who are down 18-0 in the first inning.
This isn't fair.
Right. They were saying, Bush League, this is garbage. I can't.
Defeatist attitude.
And guess what? They lost like 14-2.
Good.
And then we came back the next game. We beat them 9-1. Just boom, championship over.
It was best of 3?
And then, best of 3. And then just throughout the whole game, just a couple of their guys are launching helmets and launching bats.
Yeah.
And my favorite part about watching someone throw their helmet is what happens after the helmet hits the ground.
Oh my God.
Dude, it's the best.
I have a fun story about that.
It's the freaking best. Like, if you're gonna slam your helmet, you just take it and you just do one of those.
Or get the fuck out the way.
You just do one of those. Then there's no repercussions. There's no bouncing everywhere.
I know someone
But when
who,
you watch someone just throw their helmet on the ground, it bounces 7 different directions. The most freaking embarrassing and hilarious thing you will see them do is having to begrudgingly just walk over to pick up their helmet. Normally it bounces all the way on the field, and they're just like, oh no, my helmet, oh shoot. Like, it's a 45-year-old man.
When I was in Tucson,
It's embarrassing.
at the University of Arizona, our starting center fielder did that.
Yeah?
And it came right back up, hit him in the face, and had a concussion and missed a series. Against UCLA. We were number 5 in the country. I think UCLA is number 3 in the country. And our starting center fielder, who led the nation the year before in stolen bases, missed the series with concussion because he threw his helmet.
Right.
Don't throw your equipment, guys. Just don't do it.
Right. What we teach,
It's
Bodzin and I,
disrespectful to
is having
your
enough,
parents.
enough emotional control to be able to channel your emotions in a different way.
Right.
That's not saying never get angry. No, we accept our emotions, but where do we channel them? Now, taking your batting gloves off and putting them in your helmet, that's an okay move.
Yes.
Taking your helmet, holding onto it the whole time and giving a little slam on the bench, okay? There's no loud gestures. There's no attention drawn to you. You are channeling yourself a little bit. And then once you do the thing, you are removing the thing from your body.
Yes.
It's over. It's done. It's finished. That's where I'm channeling my energy. Not violently launching your bat into the batting rack, throwing your helmet down, having it hit you in the face, having to go pick it up. Like, I'm watching grown men do this on the field because they went down 3 runs and then continually just lost all momentum. So now why I bring this up is because having that sort of mentality will never win you baseball games.
Sure.
It will never win you baseball games. It will never win you a spot on the field.
I love the intensity that they're bringing to the table. Their outlet is garbage, and it brought the entire team down. And they lost because, well, I mean, you know, they probably lost because you guys are better, but like, they lost by a lot because they could not handle their emotions. They didn't have a good outlet, so they let the wheels fall off.
Right.
Proverbially.
I mean, it's simply like you have a never give up attitude instead of, oh, I'm defeated now. Let's just roll over and die.
Right.
You go down 3 runs. Okay, let's put up 4.
Yeah.
They put up a 6 spot in the first inning.
Gotta go 7. Hey,
Cool.
we gotta get 2 or 3
Here
right
we
here.
go. One at a time.
Right here.
One
Let's
at a
go.
time. Like, putting up 2. Okay, let's go get 3. They put up 7 or more or 6 or more. Right. We're trying to get chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away, but not letting our shoulders roll forward and our chin tucked down, throwing stuff, blaming your teammates.
45 years old.
You know, not
in a
taking
men's league
responsibility.
game at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday on a work night.
It's like
how bad is your life? I see this all the time with coaches, and I have it in me sometimes, and I'm the first to admit I'm not perfect, but when I see coaches actually throw helmets and throw bats and throw buckets around because they're losing a youth baseball game, which they're not actually in the game during, I'm like, dude, what is going on in your life that is so bad that this is the pinnacle and this is all that matters to you?
The worst part about that is that when their kid strikes out and their kid throws their bat, they yell at their kid,
right?
And wondering why they're doing that. Well, coach, I watched you do it, so I figured it was okay because you're my role model.
And I think outwardly, like, the times where I've done that, where I throw like a pitch counter. Like there was a time this past season where I had a good arm on the mound who was working his ass off, and the team was being lazy. So it affected the pitcher negatively. And I felt bad for the pitcher because that pitcher had been working his ass off, and the wheels are falling off, not because they weren't good baseball players, it's because they weren't caring.
Mm-hmm.
So I threw my pitch count into the ground. Now these are $1 pitch counters, which means they're probably about 25 cents to make it. So as soon as it hits the ground, what does it do? It explodes. Now I didn't throw it that hard, but it doesn't have to. It's a 25-cent piece of metal held together by like super glue.
Right.
And so it just exploded. And I regretted it immediately. I was very embarrassed by that. But also I was having a very tough time, like outside of baseball.
Mm.
So I was like, man, I want to win this game because it'll make me feel better about life. Like I knew that about myself. And I was like, well, that's not fair to these kids.
Mm.
So I apologized to the kids afterwards. And I try not to do that kind of stuff, but it happens. But it's also important to realize once you do it, how negative that can be perceived, and take actions to, one, make sure it doesn't happen again, but two, and probably more importantly, look at your teammates or the kids you're playing with and this and that and say, hey, I'm sorry for doing that. I'm better than that. We gotta get after it now.
Mm-hmm. Responsibility, ownership, and then change behavior.
Sure.
That's the progress. So I just want to point that out, that we can do better. We can do better than that.
Yes.
We can have a never give up, relentless, dominant attitude where we always show up no matter what the score is, no matter how many runs we've given up, and we just keep playing the game over and over and over again. Because even in a men's league, it's about momentum. And if you can pick the momentum back up, there's a chance you can come back.
Right.
There's always a chance. There's always a chance. There's always a chance until the game is actually officially over and the blue calls it.
Yes.
And when you keep showing up, you keep playing, you keep hustling, you keep moving, you keep running, you keep trying to hit, and you keep showing up. And that's an important lesson.
Takes what it takes.
That's what we'll always teach our kids, and I think that's a good note to end on.
I agree.
All right, Bods.
I think that once we wrap this up, my wife wants me to do errands with her. So can we talk for another like 30, 45 minutes?
No, you have to do errands with her.
Dang it. All right. Worth a shot. Well, hey, thanks for taking the time with us. As always, champsadjust.com /
Just champsadjust.com.
/shop.
It's right there.
Okay.
Subscribe to the newsletter. Check out the shop.
Get some
check out
cool
the
swag.
mindset program.
Yeah, mindset program.
Hit up
Absolutely.
Bods about